Hello. In this activity, we will explore hyperlinks in Drupal. There are two generic types of hyperlinks, things that will link to external websites or things that will link to other pages inside of our website. If we're linking to things inside of our website, we want to use a relative reference so that if the URL name changes, the main domain here, or the way that we categorize content changes, then the URL will still work. Remember previously that every piece of content in Drupal has a friendly URL. So this article has site30.drupaltraining.umn.edu/news/astrophysicist. And for news articles, the URL is generated from the path slug. But every piece of content in Drupal also has an internal node reference. And if I click on the edit draft of this node, here's my news article. The internal URL is site30.drupaltraining.umn.edu/node/451. And that's the internal relative reference. But that node 451 is an absolute reference in the context of the website, because if I change the path slug, added an S, then the friendly URL would change as well, whereas node 451 will always refer to this content. So every piece of content has a relative reference. There are two ways to create hyperlinks in Drupal, in our Drupal. And I'm just going to make the body of this a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. If I want to create a link to an external website, I'm just going to highlight this text. And on the WYSIWYG toolbar, there is an Insert Hyperlink button. Click that. I would probably navigate to the actual page on the internet that I want to link to, but this is an easy enough one I can type. I'll just link to the University of Minnesota homepage, and then I can choose what the target should be. If I want it to open in the same window, or if I want to open it in a new window. The default is not set, which just means that it will open in the same window. But if I want this link to open in a new window, I can. I'm not using title and class in this website, so I'll just leave those alone and click Insert. And now that's a link to the University of Minnesota page. I want to create a link to a page inside of our Drupal site. So I don't want to use the absolute reference. As mentioned before, it could change or whatever. So I want to use the Link It tool. It's the third from last button on the WYSIWYG toolbar. It's a hyperlink with a little green plus sign on it. And the tooltip says Link It. When I click on it, I get a way to search my content, and this will search the titles of all the content in the Drupal site. So if I start typing bio, for example, I'll see I can link to the biochemistry courses or some articles that have bio in the title, etc. I want to link to one of my faculty people. So I'll type Leota, and there's Leota Stoddart's faculty page. Select that, and it puts in the node ID. If you happen to know what the node ID was, you could have just typed that in, /node/321, if you knew that. But I find it a lot easier to just use the search content dialog. Insert link, and now that text has been made a hyperlink. And the default behavior, remember, for links is to open in the same window. If I wanted it to open in a different window, I've got the link highlighted, go into the hyperlink button, and I can choose to have that open in a new window. But for our website, our standard operating procedure is links inside of our website always open in the same window, so as not to confuse the visitor. So I'm going to cancel that. And I'll go to the bottom of this page. It's still published. Put in a log message. I added some links and save. And now I've got a link to Leota's page. And I'll hit the back browser. And here's a link to the university homepage. And that opened up in a new tab, a new window. So you can experiment with creating hyperlinks. That's the end of this video, so have at it. Thank you very much.